Hey, preschool parents. I'm so glad to join you today for our Thursday devotional. My name is Cherie. I'm from the Forney campus, and really excited to share with you today about our devotional because it was from Easter Sunday, and that is one of our favorite Sundays to celebrate with the preschoolers. So sad that we couldn't all be together, but we're believing that's going to be soon. And so I just want to talk to you for a few minutes today about Easter and the lesson that we taught and kind of some of the reasons behind it and some ideas if you want to continue that conversation at home, with your preschoolers. So forgive me, I have some notes in front of me. I do better if I stay on track, and so I'm just going to follow my notes a little bit. But just wanted to kind of go over it with you first. Easter is a really important event, maybe the most important event to me in our Christian faith. It's the day that everything changed for you and for me and for all believers. Because of the meaning of the empty tomb. But in preschool, explaining the birth and the life and death and resurrection of Jesus can be tricky. It's a lot for them to comprehend at their age. Because we're laying foundations in preschool, we try to make those things as simple as possible. I think we know as adults, studying the Bible can be complicated. It's complicated to get through. Sometimes it's complicated to comprehend. And our faith plays into that, believing things we can't see. But that's something that we kind of have to teach our preschoolers about believing things they can't see. So we layer it in the simplest terms as possible. And if you tuned in on Sunday, you probably saw that Miss Marlowe presented the lesson using resurrection eggs, which are a really fun thing. You won't see us use secular props very often in our preschool lessons. You won't see us use Easter bunnies, things like that as we approach holidays. Same with Christmas. You won't see us talk about Santa much, things like that. We like to focus on the real meaning when we're at church. All of those things are fine for celebrating. That is no slam on that. That's just what we do inside of our lesson. We keep that very pure to what we're teaching them. And so we use the eggs, but inside the eggs were the symbols of the Easter story. And that makes it fun, it makes it very visual for the preschoolers. And the eggs are something they can relate to. And it leads up to that exciting empty white egg that represented the tomb. And so part of that layering process is seeing, hearing. If they had been with us, they would have actually been able to touch some of those things. We would have had different preschoolers running around the room, finding the eggs for us, bringing them back, opening up, and telling us what they found inside of there. So it really is a more fun lesson in person, and we'll look forward to doing that with them next year. Our main point with all of our lessons is always to reinforce our heart print for the month, and I want to read that to you. It is that we are made new through Jesus and that Jesus is alive. And of course, that's what we were celebrating that day. That's the main thing we want them to remember. We don't want them to come away with any fear or trepidation. We know that there are parts of the Easter story, that even, disturb adults. And so we don't want to ever leave those parts out, but we do want to layer that. They'll learn more about that as they go. We don't have to bombard them with all those things. So I'm sure you noticed as Miss Marlowe talked about the whip and things like that, she didn't skip over it, but she didn't linger there very long. She gave the facts and then she moved on with that, because we wanted to get to the main thing we wanted to celebrate, and that was that Jesus was alive. So we tried to keep the story positive and hopeful. As you talk to them, they may ask you questions about the story. So just kind of wanted to give you some examples of things that we do when they ask us questions. For instance, when they ask us, what is the cross? We just simply describe it as two pieces of wood that were nailed together, and that's the cross that Jesus died on. If they ask us what a disciple is, we describe that as Jesus's very best friends when he was walking here on earth. And the friends that were here to carry on his message, just like he asks us to do. So they are Jesus's best friends, and we can be his best friends too. If they ask us what a savior is someone who saves us from danger. That's exactly what Jesus does for us. If they ask what a tomb was somewhere where they put the body once someone was dead and had gone to heaven to be with God. The body goes in a tomb, because that's something we talk about a lot on Easter. Uh, we talk a lot in a lot of our different lessons about sin, and we equate it to yucky stuff, yucky things. We ask them to tell us what's something really yucky, and we get lots of answers: mud, boogers, things like that. So we love those answers, but we equate sin to yucky stuff. And then Jesus washes those things away. So those are just some things we have. When big words or big meanings in our Christian faith come up, we try to give them a simple answer that's truthful, but something that they can comprehend. If they do ask you as you go over the Easter lesson about the whip or the crown of thorns, the nails or the beatings, remind them that the soldiers' behavior at those times was a really good example of sin, of yucky things that they were doing to hurt Jesus, just like our sin hurts the heart of God. So you can use that example to them. When those things were done to Jesus, it did symbolize, him taking that weight on for us, and then Easter Sunday that it was forgiven and washed away. And then move them on through the story. Don't stop there. Don't park in the traumas of Easter Sunday, because we want to be sure that they get all the way through to the message that Jesus is alive, that he's risen, and that the tomb was empty. Our goal would always be that the preschooler would come away from the lesson feeling positive, feeling happy, never feeling fear. We want them to find their peace and their happiness in God, through his son Jesus. So just be reassuring that wasn't the end for Jesus, and that he did overcome that and prevail. If you would like to, maybe you have some empty Easter eggs laying around your house. If you'd like to go back through and make a set for your house or recreate that with your child, I'm attaching a link to some guidelines for that. You may have some of the things around your house, or you could print small pictures from the internet, put them in the eggs, or you could just write the word that the egg represents, if you would like to just reinforce that story again in your home. So you will find that link as part of the devotional here today. We do find that familiarity, visual, and repetition. So anytime you can reinforce what we've taught on Sunday at home, that's a great partnership between the church and your family. And so we want to provide you with those resources. I'm also going to attach a link. There's a really large church called Saddleback. They make some really high quality videos for kids. If your preschool is one that could sit through about a 5-minute video, there's a really great video on the Easter story that was put together by Saddleback Kids. You've probably seen the character before. Here's their little Jesus character. And we always laugh, I'll make a fool of myself right now. But when he comes on the screen, they always say, "This is Jesus." And he goes, "Hey ho." And we always giggle. The kids love that when Jesus makes that sound. They say it with him. Sometimes we've used these videos to reinforce our lesson. And so you'll find lots and lots of videos on Saddleback Kids. But I'm going to give you the link particularly to their Easter story because it's well done. It's particularly if you have an older preschooler, maybe a pre-K4 that's going to kindergarten next year. They could probably comprehend and enjoy this little 5-minute video. So I will put that link for you to watch together. I think your family will really enjoy it. So there's a couple more activities that we have prepared for you to reinforce the lesson if you're looking for something fun to do while we're all cooped up at home. This one's for all of you cooks. That's not me. But if you like to cook, we have a really cool activity called Resurrection Biscuits or Empty Tomb Rolls. It's called both. I'm going to hold up a little picture. I don't know if you can see this, but we will link this. But here's the empty tomb roll. It's really cool. So basically you take crescent rolls. It gives you the whole directions. You do it with your preschooler, and each step of preparing the recipe to cook has something to do with the Easter story. So you make the crescent roll, and then you place a marshmallow inside of it, representing Jesus in the tomb. And then when the crescent rolls bake, the marshmallow melts, and you have an empty hole in the middle of the biscuit if you cook them right. And that represents the tomb being empty when they come out and they cool, and then you break open the biscuits. So if you love to cook with your preschooler, I'm going to put this link as part of the links that you'll find attached to this lesson. You'll find a link to this recipe. Really fun thing. If you like to do crafts with your preschooler, we have another craft now. I had to get a little bit creative. Mine doesn't look exactly like the example that we provided with you, but it's a handprint sunrise Easter scene. And you can see, oh, sorry, my craft's falling apart. You can see that we used a paper plate. Our craft suggests green tissue paper. I didn't have that at home, but I did have green construction paper, so I just cut it into squares. You can also let them color the paper plate. You could use a marker. Whatever you have at home is fine. You could leave it blank if you want. You could use other colors too. It doesn't have to be green. But we have the hill, and then we made handprints to look like the sunrise. I love handprint crafts that my children made over the years. I love to write the date on the back and what the holiday was or the occasion was that they made it, if it was Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, and which one of the kiddos made it. It's really good representation of how they grow with their little hands, and just a really good memory. And then, of course, the empty cross. So always make sure the cross is empty. For Jesus, again, I cut that out of construction paper. You could make it out of popsicle sticks or even twigs that you go out and find in your yard. The storm knocked several twigs down in our yard, so that would be a good thing to put together for that. So if you love to do crafts with your preschooler, there will be a link for the instructions and a picture of this. It's really easy. Only took me a few minutes to put this together. So something fun that you guys can do together. I have a little pro tip. When we do glue in the preschool rooms, instead of giving them a whole bottle and risking that they squirt it all out, if you take a Dixie cup or a paper plate, put just a little bit of glue, and Q-tips work great to spread the glue around on a craft. So if that's something you would like to do with your preschoolers, that's a little pro tip, way to save on the mess. Then quickly, I just found two other activities that I thought were a great visual representation. If you have older children, you can involve them in this as well. But basically, it's a sin and salvation activity. So you're going to get 2 or 3 of whatever you have. It can be pieces of paper. It could be like mats, like a yoga mat or a nap mat. Or I thought like a large pillow, or even just pillow cases would work. So you're going to need 3 different things. You'll put one mat down, and you'll have your children stand on that. You'll put another mat down that's fairly close to them, and you're going to put the word God on there. And then you're going to let them jump back and forth from them to God to show that God is close to them. But then you're going to pull that God mat away where they can't jump without hitting the floor first. And you're going to put a sign there that says sin, and show them how sin separates us from God. But God is over here, and you can't jump to get him. Then you're going to take that third pillowcase or whatever you've got. You're going to make a bridge between God and the pillowcase that the God pillowcase and the pillowcase that your children are standing on, and that represents Jesus. And now they can walk without having to jump, and Jesus will cover up that sin and make a way for them to get to God. So I thought that was a great representation of sin and salvation and what Jesus means in that picture. So if you're looking for a fun game to play with your preschoolers today, try that game out. And then last, we've done this before in different ways, and this is an easy one to do at home. So it's a forgiveness and new life. So you can take a dirty penny, put it in a cup, and you can either use a teaspoon of salt and a quarter cup of vinegar, or you can use a fizzy, like soft drink, like Coke or Dr. Pepper. You're going to combine either the salt and vinegar or the fizzy drink into a cup and drop the dirty pennies in. You're going to let them sit about 5 minutes, and if the experiment works, you should find a clean, shiny penny at the bottom of the cup. You can use this as an opportunity to show your preschooler how Jesus washes away our sins. So the dirty penny represents us with dirt on us. Jesus washes that away like the salt and vinegar or the Coca-Cola will, and you find a new, clean, shiny penny when you get to the bottom of the cup. So there will be a link to both of these activities. There's some words that go with them. So I've made 2 different, there's a document that has our lesson, and then there's a document that has the links to these additional things that I found for you. So hope that over maybe the next 3 or 4 days provides some fun activities for you and your family to engage your preschooler in reinforcing the lesson they learned on Easter. I've enjoyed being with you today. We always love our time together. We hope this was a time that you could just enjoy, maybe while your preschooler was napping or something like that. We make the devotionals with parents in mind. If there's anything any of us can do for you or your family, please reach out to us. We're here for you. Your preschool director on your campus, that's Marlo Wade in Kaufman, Angela Howard in Sunnyvale, Kylie Bedford in Rockwall, and then, of course, me for the Forney campus. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. Keep sharing pictures and videos with us. You'll never know how much we miss you and how much we miss our time with your preschoolers on Sundays. And we're praying and believing that God will make a way for us to all be back together soon. We know that's going to happen. And until then, we're wishing all of you a great day. And we'll see you Sunday morning at 9 o'clock for our next preschool video. Have a great day.